Welcome to Spicy Toast Gaming and our Vayne guide for Path of Champions. If you enjoy the video, please like and subscribe, and let's get into it. Starting off with a overview, just to talk about some of the aspects of Vayne that some people might like or dislike, just so you can know, starting out, if this is a champion for you, if this is what you want to invest your shards in, as well as your time. So starting off, we have Versatile. Vayne has many different spells in her kit that let her react in many different ways based on what is needed. She is one of the best made decks in Path of Champions for being able to respond to what the enemy does. Certain champions really don't have certain answers for different spells that get thrown at them. Vayne is pretty good at being able to respond to most of those enemy threats, especially spells. And then she's also able to be built in many different ways and handle a multitude of situations. Next, we have Aggressive. Vayne is able to attack 3 times in a round if she has the attack token, and then she's able to also rally and attack twice when she doesn't have the attack token. So she's able to close out games very quickly and is in a very aggressively built deck. Next is Equipment. So some people don't really like decks that have to deal with equipment. She is one that most of the cards are built around equipment. Now the great thing is that her star powers, which we'll get into later, automatically generates equipment for you. So that is very nice, a good quality of life aspect that this deck has, which honestly most other decks with equipment could really use. So it is very nice to have, but it is an equipment deck, so if you really don't like using equipment, then you probably don't want to play this champion. Next, we have Strong Early. So even at low levels, when you don't have a lot of champion levels in, or if you just have like the rank 2 star power, Vayne is very strong. So I recently just did a guide for Teemo. Teemo is kind of the opposite way. He is going to scale amazingly well, and a maxed out Teemo could very well likely be more powerful than a maxed out Vayne, but Teemo takes a lot more to get off the ground, especially as far as champion levels. Vayne is very good very early, and you don't have to put too much time into her to really start progressing very well. Next is Consistent. So again, unlike some other decks, Vayne isn't really a ramp-up deck. It doesn't have too much RNG in it. You're really able to know that you're taking Vayne into an encounter, and you will be able to win with her. There's not too much random chance. Like, there's always the bad luck of just not drawing the cards you need. But as far as built-in randomness, there really isn't that with Vayne. Vayne is able to consistently pull out wins for matches. Lastly here we have Self-Reliant. So Vayne doesn't really need specific powers to get in game, or necessarily specific relics. A lot of other champions really need certain tools to really shine. Vayne and her deck is just good from the beginning, and other things you get for them, like certain powers in game, are definitely helpful, but you don't need any specific powers to really shine. So that's a very nice benefit that you know when you go into a match, any powers you get, they're nice, they're good to have, but you're not waiting to try to find a certain power, and if you don't get that power, you feel just awful. So this was just a brief overview. We're going to hop into game, take a look at the cards that she has in her deck, what relics you might want to run on her, the star powers, and potentially what cards you want to cut from her starter deck when you're first starting out. In game now, we're here looking at Vayne. We see she is a 3 mana 3/4, so it's a very good stat line for a 3 mana card, which is very nice. Also the 3 mana, you can't play her on the first round unless you get something to reduce her cost, but being able to play her pretty early in the game is very nice. It's a very good stat line. When she's summoned or round start, she creates a tumble in hand, or if you have one, reduce its cost by 1, and the level up is I've seen you attack 4 times. So looking at Vayne, when she levels up, she goes to a 4/5, and then when I'm summoned or round start, create a 0 cost tumble in hand if you don't have one, and then if you do, reduce its cost by 3. Her champion spell is Condemn, so if you've attacked 2+ times in a round, it costs 5 less, and it's an ally strikes an enemy. Later you will get a mana pot for this, so it'll be 5 cost, so once you have attacked twice, it's essentially free. The tumble, which is a very important part of her kit, is that you equip an ally, and then that ally starts a free attack. Now that free attack, with her star power, her second one, which we'll get into, this lets you rally if you don't have the attack token, which will be very nice, and we will show later in the video. So her star powers, the rank 1, it must do something. Round start, if you have the attack token and fewer than 2 equipment in hand, create a golden spatula. So that is this 2 cost equipment, that is 3 attack and 2 health. And then the 2-star is Night Hunter, +1 starting mana. When an ally is equipped, give it Scout this round. So that is very nice, just lets you attack more often, leveling up Vayne very early, and then just getting a lot of power in. Now the rank 3, now when it creates that golden spatula, it also gives it, or grants it, a random keyword. And that grant makes that permanent. So this is very nice to have, but honestly, I think the 2-star Vayne is just fine. I do not plan on leveling her up past this point or putting more shards in, because I think she is perfectly equipped to handle anything in the game with just these 2. Alright, looking at her starter deck, you get Demacian Steel, so that is 1 mana 1/1 with Challenger. Later in the game, when you have leveled Vayne up further, this also gets another 1/1 from Studded Leather. You get the Steadfast Elk. This is your 1-drop. The first time his ally is equipped, grant him Tough. This is a very important spell right here, the Fish Fight. So what this does, you can use it to either have an ally and an enemy strike each other. So the same thing as what Garen has, essentially, combat. So that can be good in some situations, but what you can do if you have an equipped ally, that equipped ally will strike a unit and then is unequipped. Now that unequipped part is very important. That sounds like a downside, but actually it's not, because that gives you a chance to then re-equip that ally with that same equipment and then give them Scout. So you can use this to get rid of equipment from an ally, so you can put it back on them or a different ally, granting or giving them Scout that round, so they can attack again. So there's a lot of different ways you can use this, and it is a very good spell, and then just getting that 1 draw is nice. This Zealous Ranger, he's fine early. When you get Vayne higher level, he becomes pretty crazy. So right now, attack, give equipped allies 1/1 this round, and he has a decent stat line of the 2/3. Later though, he's going to get Barrier, and he's going to get, when you play him, start a free attack. And you get that after the Barrier, so you'll be able to play him. You know he won't die, most likely, because of that Barrier. He's immediately going to attack, and grant or give all your equipped allies 1/1 this round. So that will be very strong later on in the game. Faithful Wolfhound, this gets that Studded Leather, so the 1/1, and then if an ally died this round, I cost 2 less. You can't quite see it there, but that makes this a 1-drop, and it also has play effect, equip me with an equipment in hand that costs 2 or less. So with those golden spatulas that get generated that cost 2 mana, you can play him for 1 mana if someone died and immediately equip him, and he can be a very powerful drop for cheap. Now you have Vayne, with being a 3-drop. The Widowed Huntress, Challenger, and then play Equip Me with an equipment from hand. As you can see, pretty much every card in the deck is built around equipment. This card is good. It is a bit expensive, and especially before you get Phage, this is one that I would consider cutting. Alright, we have Condemn. So this is, we talked about it before. As you see, it has that mana pot. So if you've attacked twice in a round, which you can do consistently, it just gives you a free enemy strike, or ally strikes an enemy. So very strong, just lets you clear the board. The Kind-Hearted Recruit. Before you get the Double Time Watch, I would probably cut this card. Normally you're going to be winning before you can drop this anyways, and it just is kind of cluttering up your deck. Now it is definitely good, so if you are having a longer game, he can be very helpful, but if I was trying to cut a card from the deck, this is normally my go-to, and then it would be the Widowed Huntress. Both are good cards, but if you are wanting to cut any out, these are normally the ones I would go to. Alright, let's take a look at her relics. So as you see here, I'm using the Rage Blade. Now, one good thing is everyone should have this. This is the first relic you get in the game, and it actually works amazing with Vayne because you're able to attack so many times. You're able to attack 3 times in a round if you have the attack token, and then rally and attack twice if you don't. So this just helps her scale up so much. I always like Troll King's Crown, just giving all your allies Overwhelm. It's very good to have. Just helps you win games a lot faster. Now, if you want to just try to pick up Overwhelm, you can definitely do that as well. I just like the consistency here. So, don't get Gale Force. In my opinion, this is a trap. So you already are able to generate Gale Force, or you're already able to generate Scout. So this doesn't really help. And then the recalling is actually really bad because round start, she's going to create or reduce a tumble in hand. So by playing Gale Force, you're just going to be having to spend 3 mana every turn. Also with Vayne, you want her on the board for both your attack and the enemy's attack, since you can rally consistently. So having to play her every single round is just going to absolutely kill your mana. So Gale Force, this is one of the champions you do not want to use this on. Alright, Archangel Staff can be decent. You do have some spells, and especially early, to be able to play Tumble immediately, it's not bad. Definitely not what I would normally use, but if you wanted to use it, that would be okay. So the Bounty's Renown, getting 1/1 for every 200 gold you have, and then playing that with the Collector. Vayne is normally able to kill 2 units per round, so if you wanted to pair that together, you could do that. That would also give you more of a stacking benefit like the Rage Blade. The general counterplan, round start creating a fleeting copy of me in hand, so that can work if Vayne gets removed, but then also it gives you that free tumble every round, so if you've attacked twice, it just lets you remove a enemy from the board. That can be okay, but what I think I will do with her for the time being is just going to be having Troll King's Crown and then 2 Rage Blades, and just letting her stack up a large amount. That being said, there's always multiple ways to build out a champion, so definitely experiment, and there's going to be many different ways to find success with Vayne. Alright, we're going to head into a match here, and I'm going to show you how you can rally with Vayne, as well as get that triple attack consistently every round that you have the attack token. Alright, the Vayne Scout Rally. Now this works with other scout units, not just Vayne. So if you were playing other parts of the game and you had a scout unit that had on play start a free attack, this would also rally in the same way. But when you're playing Vayne, if you do not have the attack token, but you want to be able to rally your units, what you do is you select Tumble, you pick any equipment, and then you commit. What's going to happen? It gives the unit Scout. They start the free attack, and now you have the attack token, so you can attack with all of your units. Now you can't Scout attack, so you only get that one attack when it's generated like this, but that's still another attack you can have. So even when you do not have the attack token, you can still get essentially 2 attacks in on your turn. The Vayne triple attack. So this is something you want to do whenever you have the mana available to do it, and this is why you normally want to be using Rage Blade, or why it's very good on Vayne, is you're getting these triple attacks every single turn. So what you want to do when you have the attack token, you first just equip Vayne. She now has that Scout. You're able to attack.
I will release them from their pain.
So there you get your first attack.
Purified bolts.
Here is the second attack. And then now you want to use Tumble after you've used your Scout attack and your standard attack to then equip an equipment again. You don't necessarily have to, so one thing you can do if you don't want to grab an equipment, you just want to give your ally that free attack, is you can just use Tumble, select, once you have them selected, you click over here to hit done, and there they will attack. So if you don't want to equip another equipment, you don't have to, but that is how you can get that triple attack in with Vayne whenever you have the attack token. You just need to have enough mana to use your Tumble. So that's kind of the bread and butter of what you want to be doing with Vayne, why she's so good, and how you can get all those attacks off in a single round. Alright, taking a look at some of the powers that might be helpful for Vayne in-game. Now, normally I don't put epic powers on here. Normally I just try to do the uncommon and rare. But I just want to give a special mention to the can't stop, won't stop. Allied buffs except barrier are permanent. So this works with the Scout effect. So instead of them just having it for a round, your units now will have that permanently. So just a quick little shout out to that. It can be very nice to have. And if you are having this, I would also try to get Fixer Upper. So round start, give your weakest ally 3/3. So normally that effect would go to a different person every round and would only be on one person. But since now all allied buffs are permanent, this is just granting your weakest unit 3/3 every round. And so this helps your units just stack up insanely fast and just get massive. So it's normally a good power on its own, but it's a great power if you have can't stop, won't stop, so all your buffs are now permanent. So just a quick little shout out to these. They are a bit more rare, especially with this epic, but just thought I would mention that in the guide. Sorcery, round start, refill your spell mana. So normally when Vayne plays her, or when you summon her and she makes that first tumble, you're not going to have the mana to play it. So this just helps you being able to play those right away. Your equipment as well counts as spells, or you can use spell mana for it. So being able to use this to play those more consistently is very nice to have. Wild Inspiration, again, working for both the tumbles for Vayne as well as that equipment that you're automatically generating. This is just nice to have, just to give you a little bit more freedom to play those spells or equipment whenever you're getting them and you're not getting held back. Here we have just some good common powers for Vayne. So first, Dragon's Rage. When you summon an ally, granted Fury, it is a dragon. So most of Vayne's units are very strong and you're going to be able to kill the enemy's units consistently. So having them just get more and more powerful throughout the match is very nice. Now Crush, allies have Overwhelm. I normally roll with Troll King's Crown, so that's giving people Overwhelm anyways, but if you wanted to use a different equipment there, then definitely getting Crush would be very nice just to get that consistent overwhelm. And lastly, we have Endurance. When an ally survives damage, grant it 1/1. Most of your units don't have Quick Attack, so even though they will be killing enemy units, they will be normally taking some damage in response, including Vayne. She starts with 4 health, which is decent for a 3-drop, but she is normally going to be taking damage when she's attacking. So that's actually not really a negative or downside, because if you have Endurance, you can use that 1/1 and it works out pretty well. So these are just some common powers I think work pretty well with Vayne, and I try to get these in game, test them out for yourself, see what you think. Now, like I said earlier, Vayne really isn't reliant on powers. She's good on her own, so any powers you get are just really a bonus. So definitely play around, see what you like, and let me know in the comments if you find some other combination or any other powers you think really elevate Vayne to another level. Thank you so much for watching that video. We're putting out daily content for Path of Champions, so if that interests you, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and comment down below. We're just starting out here on YouTube, trying to grow the channel, so any help is greatly appreciated. Thank you, and have a great day.